Hi everyone. So my name is Shauna and I just wanted to do a video about how to use Excel to design your quilts. Um, I think it's a great way to design your quilts. I know there's a lot of software out there that's great. I think there's like maybe some EQ8 or I think there might even be an app. I'm not real familiar with any of those. I'm sure they're great. Not to say I won't invest in the future, but for right now, Excel works for me. And I just wanted to share that knowledge with the rest of you guys. Um, I will be using a Mac. I know that it's a little bit different than PC. It may look a little bit different, but the overall concept is the same. I use a PC for work, so if anybody has any questions, just put those in the comments below and I will be happy to help. I'm sure there are a lot of other programs besides Excel, like Google Sheets, and I think maybe Apple has something. Also, I'm not familiar with those, but I'm sure that that's the same thing. New to quilting, I started quilting in March of 2020. My father passed away from lung cancer, and with COVID, I just kind of found myself with some time on my hands, and just the quilting is something that I always wanted to learn. And I've been passionate about it ever since. And I'm 39 and I regret not doing it a long time ago. I hope I have a long future of quilting ahead of me. I'm not perfect at seams or straight stitches, but I like to find solutions to problems to make everything easier. And if you're like me, I felt like the design part was very hard for me. I need to visualize things before, I purchase fabric or start cutting or make that commitment. I found Excel very easy to use, and I hope that help you too. Would like to say that I have a little sidekick back there, Lucy. She's my quilting partner. Lucy, can you say hi? She's a little shy today. All right, well, with that, let's get started. Hi, so welcome to my very first video. Just wanted to dive right in. So, like I said, I'm using a Mac computer, so I'm assuming that you could be on a PC. So if you're on a PC, I hope you can navigate to opening an Excel document. So without further ado, I'll go to my launch pad and I'm going to open Excel. And I'm going to open a blank workbook. Now, as you can see, when you open a blank workbook, you have all these cells by default. So what we want to do first is make these cells into perfect squares. So in order to do that, we're going to go up to the A column here. You can see my little arrow. And I'm going to click and I'm going to hold it. And I'm going to just drag a few columns there. And then if you can see my little pointy four-sided arrow there, if you want to drag that, when you drag that, you notice the width and then you notice the pixels. So in this case, we want to worry about the pixels. So we're going to make our pixels for this purpose here. We're going to make them 50. Okay. Now, instead of doing that over and over again, we can just hit our Format Painter button here, and we can just drag over however much we want. So they're all the same now. Now, we got to do the same for the rows. So we're going to select the row and just drag a few, right? And then get that little arrow right there on the side. Drag it down to where it says 50 pixels. Right there. Okay, so now we have perfect little squares. So now what we can do is we're just going to we're going to drag and highlight those cells, and we're going to click Format Painter, and we're just going to paint all these down here. Doesn't really matter how far we go, just make sure we have enough. Okay, so now we have perfect little squares. Okay, we're going to hit Escape now. Okay, So click off that to get that little paintbrush thing to go away. Okay, so first one I'm going to set, the first sheet that I'm going to set up is on the assumption that we are going to be making a quilt using, let's say, charm packs. So I like to put numbers at the top to represent the length of the quilt and the width. So let's say we're going to be using 5-inch charm packs. I'm going to put a 5 there, and then a 10, 15, 20, and this is just going to represent the size of the quilt. And of course, I'm not taking into considerations here, you know, seam allowances or anything like that. This is just to kind of get an overall, you know, figure of how big my quilt will be. So, and instead of trying to do, you know, fill in all these across here, what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the 5 through the 20 there. And Excel is smart enough to know that I'm trying to repeat that number. So I'm just going to make it out. I don't want it to be 100. I don't think we're going to have a quilt that wide, but okay, so now we're going to do the same thing going down. So we're going to do 5, and then we're going to put 10, and then we're going to just highlight both of those, and then we're just going to drag. You can see it is 60, 65, 70. Let's just go down to 100 here, and we'll let go. So those are that's just my basic, just to show the area of the quilt. So I'm going to make those smaller just so I don't accidentally put any kind of pictures in there. So if you just go up here to between your A and your B column, you can actually just double click real fast, and that's automatically going to format that entire column to fit just those numbers. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing between the 1 and the 2. Just double click it and then see how it made it shorter. So now this is our area of our quilt. So we have all these little perfect squares right here. Okay, so this one's going to be set up for a charm pack. So I'm going to just I'm going to right click on this little sheet 1 down here, and I'm going to rename that. I'm just going to put a 5 there because I know they're 5 inches. So let's make a 10-inch. So let's go in and we'll right click on this little tab right here. Ooh. And we're going to click move or copy. And then we're going to create a copy. And let's make this one based on, sometimes I do 8-inch blocks. So I'm going to make that 8. Now, same thing here. So I'm going to put an 8 right here, and then I'm going to put a 16, right? Because 8 plus 8 is 16, and that's what your length would end up being if you keep adding it across. So if I highlight those two and drag it, you see how it's calculating it for me? So probably just want to make this one like 104. And then we can highlight these and just delete those. Now same thing here. We're going to do 8, 16, and we're going to drag these down now until we get about 100 or so. And then I'm just going to delete the rest of these. Right click, delete. Okay, so now we have our 8 inches. So let's do move or copy, and then we will create a copy of this one. And let's make this one 10 for our layer cakes. So same thing, 10, 20, and then we're going to click and drag, and then move them across. And we'll delete these. And then same thing, 10, 20. And then we're just going to drag to about 100. And delete the rest of these. So right now we have, we have 5 5 inches, 8-inch blocks, 10-inch blocks. Of course, you know, you can keep going. You understand the concept of that. Now, don't forget to save your files. So let's call this quilting design template. And let's save that under Documents and Excel Workbook and hit Save. Google, you can go to, you know, Missouri Star Quilt Company, which I love, or anywhere. It doesn't matter. But for this purpose, I'm going to go to Etsy and find a bundle of fabric that I like, just for the sake of showing you guys how to do this. So let's go on over to Etsy, and I'm really digging this material right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the fabric here, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to save image as, let's just name it Etsy Fabric 1. And I'm just going to save all these. You get the gist. Oops. Okay, so now that I have all my fabric saved, I'm going to go up here to Insert, Pictures, and then I'm going to go to Picture from File. And like I said, if you're doing this on PC, it might be a little bit different, but not too much. So I'm going to just select on the Etsy Fabric 1, and then you can actually hit your Shift. You can actually click on the first one, hit select your Shift key, hold it down, and select on the last one you want to insert, and then just hit Insert, and they're all going to insert at one time. So what we want to do next is we're going to have to make these the exact size that these cells are. So in order to do that, we'll just take this over here like this, and we'll just kind of get it kind of centered there. Actually, you know what? I really hate that little crop thing there. I don't know, I'm going to hit the undo button because I love my undo button. It's, see how the fabric changed a little bit back to the normal. But before we do that, I want to crop this off here because I don't like it. So I'm going to go up here to crop, and I'm going to just crop that little end off. Okay. And now I'm going to resize this to this cell right here. So let's see here. We want to get it doesn't have to be perfect, but we want it to be pretty close. Okay, so now when I go up to picture format here with the picture selected, I can see it's 0.73 by 0.74. Now I can take this little checkbox off, this lock ratio, and actually make this exactly square. So let's do that. I think it's still a little bit too big though. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but okay. What size is that? That's pretty good. Okay, so we're going to make all of our squares here that size. So take this one, and I'm just going to crop that little thing off here. And then now I'm going to click on the picture, uncheck that, and I think it was 0.74 and 0.74. Nope, we were 7.2. Put 2 there, 2 there. Okay, so we got that one done. This one, crop that, and same thing. And one thing, you know, a faster way that you can actually do this is, I don't know how that one didn't end up with the little ruler on the bottom, but first let's crop all of these, and I'll show you a really fast way to do this. Crop that one. Okay, now if we select all of these, we can just hit one of them and then hit select and then click and click and click and go to format picture. Take that off and go to 0.72, 0.72. Now we've done them all, except that one that we missed, of course. Okay, so now that we have them all, so now what I want to do is just create a bunch of copies of these. So I'm just going to select all of these here. So I'll hold one down, and I'm going to hit Shift, select them all. Now if you're on a Mac, you can hit Command C, or if you're on a PC, it's Control C. So just hit Command C, and then to paste it, it's Command V or Control V. So Command V, and I'm just going to keep doing that. See, a bunch. It saves me a lot of time. I know there's a lot there, but at least I have plenty. So next, I'm just going to start moving these over here. So I'm just going to play around with this and decide where I want these. So like I said, this sheet is representing 10-inch layer cakes based on the size, but based on the rulers, but you can also use, you know, one of the other tabs to keep it accurate. But I'm just going to place these. I'm not, you know, going to get real serious about this just because I'm just showing you guys exactly how to do this in Excel. So I'm going to just do this and then probably fast forward through the video a little bit so that you can get the gist of this. So now that we have kind of all of our pieces on here, kind of maybe where we want them, we're going to straighten them up and make them look nice. So what we're going to do is just, you're going to click on one of them and you're going to get exactly kind of where you want it. Make sure it's really centered in that square there. And then what you want to do is just, you can select all of these. And then you go up here to Format, Picture, and then Align. And then we're going to align all of these to the bottom. So what that's going to do is it's going to align all of these squares to the square that is at the lowest point. So see how it kind of brought all those down? And then now while it's selected, we're going to also go up to Align again, and we're going to distribute these horizontally. So that's just going to make them, you know, evenly spaced going across. So so you can see it really cleaned that up there. So we can do that with each one. We just need to make sure that, you know, the square that you want is actually in the perfect position, because the rest of them are going to go based on that. So if you're so we're just going to select these here and do the exact same thing. So go to Line, we're going to line the bottoms of them, and then we're going to distribute them horizontally. And you'll just keep repeating that. Now that one looks a little off, and I think it's because this one needs to be even with that last one there, and this one needs to be even with that one. So based on that, it's basically going to distribute them horizontally based on your first one and your last one. Okay, there we go. This one here needs to be even with the end of that one, and this one needs to be even with the end of that one. And you can actually, if you wanted to do, you could select that one, and you could select that one, and then you could go to Align, and then you can go to Align Right. So that's going to make those perfectly even with each other. Same here. We go to here and here, and then we can actually align those to the left, actually. And now what we can do is take all of our little squares in this row and distribute them horizontally, and they should match up perfectly. So let's see, same here, we need to make sure that this one is even with the end of that one. And we need to make sure that this one's even on the end of that one there. And then, let's see. Select all of these here. And like I said, you can skip this part if you've, you know, got them lined up as well as you wanted to. I've never much too worried about if they're perfect or not, because I'm just trying to get an idea of if I like the pattern. But so I'm just showing you this in case you do, you know, maybe you're a perfectionist and you want to see them lined up exactly. So I just wanted to just show you that part there. So we're going to line that up there. And line this one up here. I'm just going to eyeball it. And then I'm going to select all these. And I'm going to line the top. And I'm going to distribute horizontally. Let's see, these look pretty good as far as being lined up at the ends. And I'm going to go to the line and horizontal. So there we go. So now, you know, it's done. At this point, you know, you can move your fabrics around and see. I like that square there better than this square. What I did there, but so you kind of get the gist of how, you know, you can manipulate the quilt and get exactly the look you want. So what I really like about doing it this way too is that I can save it as a PDF. So in order to do that, we need to go to print, because all of we need to go to. So in order to do that, we have right now our sheet is. So in order to do that, we need to go to File, and we need to go to Print. So you need to make sure that your scale to fit is on. So what that's going to do is, if your any of your content, you know, your pictures or anything are over the print area, what that's going to do is shrink everything down to fit on one page instead of, you don't want multiple pages of a quilt. So once you have that there, you can click this little PDF button here, and you can save it as a PDF. So let's just quilting design template testing. We'll just save it as that, and we'll save it in our documents. And I'll go open up my documents here. And there it is. So this shows us what our quilt would look like. And if you have a Mac and you have, you know, Apple, iPhone, which I do, I can actually share this, and I can actually airdrop it to myself, which is really cool, because when I do that, I can actually share it with myself and save it to my files, and then I can screenshot that and send it to whoever I'm making the quilt for. So a lot of times I make baby quilts, or you know, gifts for people, and I like to do different variations and show them different ways that you can, you know, their quilt might look, or different fabrics or something. So now let's say that you know, you don't want squares or anything. You want to do triangles or octagons or hexagons, I believe. So that's really easy to do, and you can do that just like this. You can just, all you have to do is select on your picture, and you can go to picture format, and then you can go to crop and crop to shape. So here, you know, I have all these options to crop to these different shapes. So you know, of course, I showed you the triangle, of course, but let's try like I think this is a hexagon here. So and now, instead of going through clicking the picture and clicking, you know, picture format, crop to shape, and hexagon again, instead of doing that, you just go up and click on one of your pictures, and then click the format painter button twice so it stays on, and then you can just click all your little pictures that you want to change. So I find that the easiest way to do that. So at this point, what you would do is just start arranging your, your hexagons, how you would like to lay them out. I'm not going to go through this whole process here, but like you get the gist of it. And then if you needed an extra one or something, you would just right click, copy, and you could paste, and then you could just add in, if you needed an extra one or something. So basically that is it. I mean, there's really not a whole lot to it. As I said, you just need to work around with Excel a little bit. And like I said, if you have any questions, just post those in the comments. And I will be doing a tutorial on how I use Excel to design my t-shirt quilts, which has been a lifesaver and kind of my method behind it. I think that you would find that it would help you a lot in designing your t-shirt quilt. So stay tuned for that, and please feel free to hit me up with any comments or questions or anything at all. Thanks. Bye, guys.